Alright, so I guess introduce yourself.
Corey, but I go by the Universe, so we just go with the Universe.
AKA used to be the artist formerly known
as Alias.
Have you ever seen any of the trips?
What, can I hit this on camera? Yeah. Yeah, I seen yours.
Which one?
It was one of the first ones you did.
I think that was my first LSD experience.
Yeah.
I was talking about the beach.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And I think that's the one that got me in trouble too, actually.
Oh yeah,
that's the one that got me caught by my parents.
Oh fuck, that is.
Was it that long ago?
It was pretty long. I don't know. I think it was like 3 years.
It was when I was in high school when I got in trouble. So if you made it then.
I forgot about that. I got you in trouble a lot when you I feel like. So, alright. Which one are you going to do?
I think I'm doing 8 mushrooms and went to Knott's Berry Farm.
So when was that?
My senior year, so let's say like 4 years ago. I had picked up mushrooms to distribute, and the guy who gave them to me at the time gave me 2 ounces instead of 1 ounce. So I ended up having a whole extra ounce, and then he just said it was cool. Yeah, he just texted me, he's like, "Oh, it's cool, man. It's my mistake." So
Dude,
so I ended up with a bunch of free mushrooms. So I split them up, and we each. I had an eighth, but I didn't eat the whole eighth. I ate about like 2.6, 2.7, I think. Which is weird because I've eaten more since then. But that trip was just...
That's why it was so intense, because you only took 2.5, you didn't...
Yeah, so it was like 2.6, 2.7, and then it was, they all ate a little bit less. Like, I think they just ate half an eighth. Me and Tokyo ate them at the house. Patrick and Michael waited. Patrick waited for Michael because he had to drive. And I ate mine at the house. But it was only like a 30, 40-minute drive. So by the time we got there, we were still... Like, I was coming up, but I wasn't, like, tripping or nothing. Yeah. And then we got in there, and then we were walking around, and we got on Ghost Rider. That was the first ride we got on. And that was, like, like, by that time, it'd been, like...
That's a roller coaster.
It'd be almost been, like...
uncomfortable-ass roller coaster.
Nah, it was... Yeah, but honestly, it was the best part of the trip before everything.
Really?
Yeah, everything kind of... No, there was one other good part, and then everything went downhill. During this time, this was, like, within, like, almost, like, probably about at an hour after eating them, that we actually got on. So I was you know, starting... Yeah. I remember having my headphones in and the Heart of a Lion by Revolution came on, which wasn't the song I expected to come on because I wanted something cool to come on, but honestly it was so fucking perfect. And we're on the roller coaster and I had my headphones in and I could just hear music and I was starting to trip and it was everybody was having fun, everybody on the roller coaster, it was just beautiful. And then we got back to the station, and this is the first mistake. Everybody got out of the car, and for some reason I couldn't get my fucking seatbelt off. And I was starting to trip at this point, but not like bad yet, but just tripping, you know? And I was like, oh my god, like what the fuck do I do? And I told Michael and Patrick, I was like, hey man, I was like, I don't know how to get out, man. The guy had to get on the intercom and was like, push forward or some shit like that, and pull up. And then I was like, is he talking to me? And he was, and then I did it. And then I got out, and I was like the last one out, and I was like, man, that was weird. But I felt good to get out, so it was still fun. And then we went on I think it's called Silver Bullet. It's the one where your feet hang. I don't know.
That in the front?
Yeah, and your feet hang down.
I don't know what's called that. But
and that shit... I took off my shoes and my socks, and like we all did. And,
what the fuck?
And because you know you can take off your shoes if you want, so they don't fall off. Oh, so yeah. I just took my socks out too, and because your feet hang, and we all got on it, and I had my headphones in. I don't remember what song was on during that one, but all I remember is that when we were going and with your feet hanging, and that was like when I was tripping. So it was like. It was so fucking awesome. Like I remember I was like crying, like I had tears, like but they were like happy. Like I was just like, oh my god, it felt like I was flying. Like it was so crazy. And then after that, it started to go downhill. It started to get gloomy, and the park, because it was winter, was closing at 6, I believe. It closed early, and I remember I was super excited. Like I was just on a good one. Like I was like, oh, you know. And then I remember on my headphones, I remember what's it called? The song with Drake and Kanye and Eminem and all them. It may not mean nothing at all. Oh. That shit came on my iPod. And that shit was the second mistake. Yeah. That shit, when Kanye's verse came on, it was kind of like, oh, like, you know, because that song is not really that great of a song, you know? Because some hip-hop songs are cool, but that song's not really even a good song. And it was like, I don't know, kind of put the headphones away, then we got to Boomerang, and then it was fucking closed because of the rain or something happened, but it was closed and we couldn't get on. And I remember that was when I was just like, okay, you know, what are we gonna do? Okay. And then I was like, and then at that point I was like, you know, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was like, we looked for the bathroom for seriously about like 30 minutes, I would say, unless I was just tripping. Okay. But like literally looking, like we kept walking places, and then we'd start walking, and then Mike or someone would be like, nah, it's not this way, and we'd be like, fuck, all right. And we wouldn't even go all the way down, and we'd go another way, and then I'm pretty sure we went the same way a couple times because we kept all deciding, wait, no, this does not seem right. We gotta go somewhere else. And eventually we found a bathroom, and I went in, and then there was this old guy in there, and I remember I was washing my hands, and I don't know why, him just being in there was just tripping me out. And then when I was washing my hands and watching the water go down the drain, I was just like, oh my god. Yeah, I was starting to think I kind of wanted to go to the car, but I wasn't sure yet. Michael and Patrick wanted to get on a Ghost Rider again. And I was like, you guys go ahead. I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe I just need to sit there. Yeah, I was getting like, kind of like, I don't know, you know? I just don't know. So I was like, you guys go ahead, I'll wait here. And that was the biggest mistake, was waiting. Me and Tokyo was like, you know what, I'll wait with him, you know? He's like, and then neither of us had our phone, so I started tripping. I was like, what if they try to call us? I was like, what if we don't see them get off the ride? We were sitting right by the exit, so we would have saw them, but it just felt like, because we were waiting and tripping, like, it felt like forever. Like, I was just like, oh my god, like, there's no way they're not off the fucking ride yet. I was like, no fucking way they're not off the ride. Like, we've been here forever. It was starting to rain again at that point, and then like water was going down this drain in the middle of, like, it was just like a, you know, like a drain in the floor. And I was just watching it, and I was just like, it felt like it was opening up and like sucking everything in, and just sitting there waiting was just, it was just so intense. And then finally they came back off, and I was like, thank you, you know, so much. And they came, and I just told them, because at that point from the waiting, I had it with the park. Because when people would get off the ride too, while we were waiting, I kept feeling like they were just staring the shit out of us while we were just sitting there waiting. I told them I had to go to the car. I was like, I don't care if you guys stay in here. I was like, you guys go ahead, have fun. I was like, I don't want to ruin your guys' trip, but I do need you guys to walk me to the car though, because I was like, I honestly have no fucking clue where we parked. If I tried to find the car, I would be lost out there the whole time. I was like, honestly, I have no idea. Like, I was just kind of just out of it, like at that point, like just fucked up. I was like, so just take me to the car, and I was like, I'll just chill by myself, and you guys come back in. And I was like, maybe I'll come back if I feel better. They're like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, that's cool. I remember we walked, and then I gave Patrick money because I wanted to get, I believe, a drink, but I didn't want to go in there. I was like, I can't go buy this. I was like, here's the money. I was like, can you buy me one? And then he was in there, and I remember he was in there with Michael, and I kept feeling like they would look and laugh like at us, but I don't think they were, but they were just like laughing. And I was telling Tokyo, I was like, man, I know Patrick's our homie. I was like, but do you think he's trying to steal my money right now? I was like, for real. I was like, do you think he's trying to take my money? And Steve's like, nah, man. He's like, Patrick wouldn't take your money. And he's like, besides, we're right here. He's like, how's he gonna take your money, And I was like, you sure? I was like, look at him. He keeps laughing and shit. He's like, nah, dude. He's like, it's cool. And I was like, all right. Shit. He's like, nah. And they came back out, he gave me my money, and obviously it was cool. And then we walked, and then they were walking me to my car. And then when we almost got there, I was like, you know what? Because I had the 2.7, and I still had the rest of the eighth left. And I was gonna eat that later. But they and Michael just seemed like they were having great fucking times. I was like, you guys could just split the shrooms. I was like, I don't want those. I was like, to be honest, I kind of don't even want them around me. Like, because I was tripping still, and I was like, I don't even want to be around. Like, I felt like they were just evil things to even be around. And it was horrible, because they were having a good time. So they started eating them, and they're just pulling from the bag and eating them and just cracking up. But, they're fucking tripping, so they're just laughing their asses off. While they were laughing, eating the mushrooms, I just felt like they looked like demons. Like, it looked like they were just like, you know what I mean? Like in a movie, when it seems like the laugh just gets like this evil tone to it. Like, it's just like sinister the way they were laughing and eating them. And I was like, oh my god, like, my mind can't handle this right now. Like, I had to get out of the car where they were eating them, and I just stood outside of the car. I remember it was weird. It was Brandon told me there was a name for it, and I don't remember what it is. But I was staring at my iPod, and for just a split second, where I felt like I was in the iPod, but not like my mind was in the iPod. More as if my mind just had disappeared completely, and I was just a part of the iPod and a part of, I don't know, like I was in it, like, with no conscious feeling or memory or thought or anything, just for like a split second. But it just felt like I jumped out of my body into the iPod or something and jumped back. It was the weirdest thing, and then it made me really like trip out. And then I tried to make myself throw up in the parking lot after that. And that was a bad idea because I was sticking my finger down my throat and trying to throw up, but I wasn't throwing up, so it was just making my trip worse. And then it started raining, and I was literally on the ground and the cement while the ground was wet on my jean pants, on my knees, trying to make myself throw up by the car. And then I was just like, man, what am I doing? You know, you were like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to just go in the car. Somebody's gonna see me, because the Tokyo was like, man, you know, he's like, you should come in, you know. So I got in the car, and then they went back in, and I was like, they're like, you know, you sure we're cool? You're cool with it? And I was like, yeah. I was like, go. I was like, you know, I'd rather just be alone for this anyways. And then Steve's like, I'll stay. And I was like, nah, you don't even have to stay. He's like, nah, I'll stay. And then Steve stood with me, and but he stood in the front seat, and I laid down in the back seat, just listening to music for a while. And fuck, man, it was the most intense part of any trip I've ever had. Like, it was like in the movie 1408, like he got to the end of that hour. They remember the hour, there's the hour on the clock, and he got to the end of it, and he's like, oh my god, it's done. And then it just reset. Yeah. That's how it felt, like over and over. Like I kept feeling like I would go through this crazy trip, exactly then I'd come to this point where I was like, you're tripping, dog, you're cool. And it would just start over again, like no, and it was just like it started slipping away from me. And then I remember I wanted to call my mom, and I was thinking about it, and my phone was right there, and I picked it up even, and I was like, nah, like I can't do this. Like if I call my mom, like, because I was thinking about being like, just, hey mom, you know, don't be mad right now. Just please come pick me up from KNOTTS. Like I don't want to be here. You know, I'm having a bad time. I ate some mushrooms, but I'm super glad I didn't do that. And then I laid down there, and then I remember the Beatles, I Want You came on, and that shit was just scary as fuck, because I felt like he was talking to me. He's like, I want you. And I felt like it was the mushrooms.
The trip were talking to you.
Yeah, like the mushroom or the trip were just was telling me like, I want you. And it was just, and I remember that was when I took out my headphones and I didn't listen to music the rest of the trip. And I just laid there, and then for a while I started to not forget my name, but like I had to repeat it, because I felt like if I didn't keep saying my name, that I was gonna for sure forget my fucking name. Like it was crazy. Like I kept saying, I was like in the back saying like Corey Nicholas Mice, but you know, like just thinking like I can't forget. Yeah, I was like I can't forget my name.
And then you're that psycho in the back on Shroom.
That's why I wanted to be alone. I was like, man, I don't want to be around these other people. Like Steve was in the back too. Just I could have swore he was crying, but he was just giggling to himself by himself, like just giggling. Like I remember it was tripping me out. Like I remember a couple times like, Steve, were you crying? And he's like, nah, man.
When did you come out of it though?
We ate them probably about like, I would say, me and Steve ate it about like 1, I would say probably. It was probably like about 4:45-ish when I started to realize I'm gonna be okay. There was just a point when like I was laying there and I was just like, I think I'm gonna be okay. Like, and I started feeling it. I remember I told Steve, and I was like, I think I'm okay, you know? And I remember Vince had called me a bunch of times. And then I remember I finally picked up my phone, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna call him back. Because I felt good, and I called them, and I remember I was talking to them on the phone, like the most excited I've been in my whole life. I was like, Vince, I was like, the park's about to close soon. I was like, Michael and Patrick's gonna come back. I was like, we're gonna come back in town. I was like, me and Steve are coming over. I was like, we're rolling fat blunts. I was like, we're smoking them. I was like, we're gonna smoke like 2 or 3 blunts when I get back, dude. I was like, I gotta tell you about this trip. I was like, it was the worst thing ever. I felt so just good. Like, I still felt weird, but I just knew at that point, like, okay, I'm okay. Like, I'm gonna be able to go home, yeah. And then fucking Patrick and Michael came out. Like, when I think about it, like, it felt like there's no way that took place between 1 and 4, you know? Between 1 and 4:45, I'd say, like, there's no way that's all that happened. And then I came down, and then they came, and they were fucked up. And then I remember I had to drive home because Michael was too fucked up. And, like, I was still kind of fucked up, but I was, yeah. But I was still tripping, but I was okay enough, you know? I was like, all right, yeah, I could drive, you know? Because I didn't want Michael driving. Michael was trying to drive, and Patrick was like, nah, Michael, you cannot drive. And Michael's like, I could drive. And I was like, nah, Michael. I was like, I honestly do not. I was like, if you drive, I was like, I think I'm gonna just get out and ask for a ride. And then Steve was like, me too. And then Patrick's like, let him drive, Mike. And he was just getting mad. So he's like, all right, I'll let you drive. And then I drove. And then on the way home, Patrick was like talking about, he's like, man, he's like, I hate to say this. He's like, but I think I'm gonna die soon. And he's like, I don't mean in a bad way. He's like, don't be sad about me saying that. He's like, but I don't know. He's like, after today's trip, it was beautiful and amazing. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I just feel like my time might be coming soon. He's like, but I'm okay with that. And he just, I was like, Patrick, you need to stop talking like that. And then He's still alive, so.
Yeah, he's been alive since then.
Yeah, but that was pretty much it.
What do you feel like was the
I think for me, my
moral of the trip?
I don't know if there was a moral, dude. It felt
did you
so
learn anything?
insane.
Did anything come from it at all?
I think the thing that came from it was definitely never. I would never ever eat mushrooms in like a good amount like that in public places. You know, like at Coachella, like it's cool to munch on them, but like I would never do that. I couldn't say I learned anything just because it was so intense. But honestly, I felt grateful though. Like when I came down, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a real lesson. I don't know though. But all I knew when I came down was that. I don't know. I just felt grateful for everything. I wanted to see my family. I wanted to, you know. And then I remember the next day, everything was just beautiful. But no, all trips are like that. But because the bad trip, it just made me feel like no way in hell nothing could have, like nothing. Once I came down from that trip, the rest of that day, unless like my mom would have died or something, nothing could have happened that would have made me sad or disappointed. Because I just felt like. I was just happy to know that I was gonna, because literally I felt like I was insane, like saying my name in the back so I don't fucking forget it. Like how fucking crazy is that? Like it's
Like Danny was like that one time after Nocturno.
Oh yeah, I remember you were telling me, dude.
Crazy. Doing build up to his mouth, going like this, like all just like looking at his hands and for dog like an hour straight. And I was literally sitting there on Chris's couch by myself, just sitting there, like how you said, like constant resetting, like okay, and then gone. I'm okay, gone.
Yeah, see, I think my biggest mistake too that time was giving up on the park. Was like, you know, I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Once you feel doubt and then you give in, feeling doubt is normal, but once you give into it, then it's like it's a wrap.
And I drove all the way down there to the trip at Knott's, and then I got a bad feeling, and I was like, all right, I can't do this. And then that just led to more bad feelings. Pretty sure if I would have got on Ghost Rider the second time, I probably would have been cool.
Well, goddamn.
Sorry, I don't have a better lesson. I feel like sometimes trying to think about the lesson, sometimes I think that maybe there's no lesson. Like
maybe there is. That's true.
It's like
damn, that's a whole nother video.
I heard you had a bad day. Well, I guess that's life. You got fired from your job. Well, I guess that's life. You wife up and took off. Well, I guess that's life. Now you're standing on the ledge and you're about to jump off. Well, I guess that's life. Don't do it, just roll up another blunt.